Uh, Today I want to look at a Bible passage that if I just read it with no background in the Bible, I would understand it far differently than I did as a Christian. And I think everybody would. I'm talking about Romans 1:19 through 23. Let's read it. Because that which may be known of God is manifest in them, for God hath showed it unto them. For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. Because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools, and changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like corruptible man. Huh. This goes on, talking about birds and four-footed beasts and creeping things. But I want to stop here and unpack what we have so far. Verse 19 states outright that anything that can be known about God has been presented to us. That's a bold claim, isn't it? Let me repeat that because it's very important. Anything that can be known about any God that might exist has been presented to us. And how has this God shown us everything that can be known about it? Did the God write it in a book, broadcast it over a loudspeaker, send us all an email? Well, let's see. Verse 20 says that the invisible things, the things that we couldn't see if the Creator God didn't show us, can be clearly seen from the creation of the world. We're supposed to look at the things that were created because they show the invisible things. They show the power of the Godhead. Okay, so there's stuff which makes us think someone or something brought the stuff into being. And that, the stuff, is supposed to show us all that can be known about this creative force. And yes, we see the power of this God, as the passage says. That's all that can be known, y'all. Nothing else can be known about this God except what we can learn from the creation. That's it. That's all we can possibly know about the Creator. All we can know is what we see in the created stuff. I'm sorry to keep harping on this, but I think it's necessary. And I have a question. Why would we need to hear from this God? Why would it need to speak to anyone? Why would we need a book telling us things about the God that we can't clearly see in the creation? Nothing is necessary except what we can see, right? We recognize everything, visible and invisible, about the Creator through the creation. So as verse 20 says, there's no excuse not to know this God. There's no excuse not to know everything about this God through the things we can see. There's nothing else to know about the Creator, just its power. And yes, we can easily see, understand, and accept that by looking around us. Something powerful brought everything we see into being. So all we can know about the Creator, about the true God, if you will, is that it's powerful. That is exactly what the text says, isn't it? We can see and know the eternal power of the Godhead. And what should we do with this knowledge? Obviously, we need to have a good, strong respect for the Creator, but how? By having respect for the creation, that's how. We should take care of the earth and its inhabitants. We should care about the environment, try not to pollute the rivers or destroy the ozone layer. We should consider the lives of cattle and chickens and not raise them in misery. We should provide for our children and the old, the poor, and the disabled. Remember, Christians, Jesus said that what you do to the least of these, you do to him. And what will happen if we all behave this way? Life will continue from age to age. There'll be peace and harmony. We'll have none of these diseases. No weapon formed against us will prosper because we won't need weapons. We won't use them against one another. This is all natural, nothing supernatural at all. There's nothing more that we can see and know for us to be concerned about. But what happened? How did we lose this truth? Where did we go wrong? Let's keep reading. What do verses 21 through 23 say? Something bad happened and everything fell apart. Why? We humans, of course, messed everything up. We always have to mess everything up, don't we? And what did we do? Well, what does it say we did? Humans became vain and foolish and changed the glory of the incorruptible God into an image made like corruptible man. In other words, humans came up with gods who were human-like. The gods humans created had human characteristics. We know for a fact that this happened, don't we? Although we can see everything that can be known about the true Creator through its creation, we weren't satisfied with that. Whatever this Creator might be, and it doesn't matter, as we don't need to know and we cannot know. We know all that can be known by looking at what we can actually see. Your book is clear on that, Christians. But we added to this, didn't we? Yes, we ourselves created a God who showed us far more than what we can see in its creation. We made a jealous God. We made a vengeful God. We made a God that needs, craves, demands worship. We made a God who walks and talks and is full of regret. It likes to smell burning flesh. That calms it down. Him down, because this God is like man, remember? We made a God who harms little babies. We made a God who threatens unimaginable punishment for tiny, imaginary offenses, like picking up sticks on a particular day. Let me ask you something. Can you see all of this from creation? No? Then this is not God. This is instead one of those many false gods made like corruptible man. And Christians, this is the God you serve. Yes, you serve this man-made God who is like you. Why? Well, the book tells us, doesn't it? It's because when you knew the true God, you didn't glorify it as God. You weren't thankful. You became vain in your imaginations. Your foolish heart was darkened. Professing yourself to be wise, you became a fool. And hey, don't get upset with me. I didn't say this. Your precious book says it. Where has all this got us, by the way? It's brought wars between nations. It's created discord in families. It's caused, and the Bible says it's caused families to be divided. Parents cast out their children. Wives divorce their husbands, or husbands divorce their wives because one or the other refuses to serve this God humans have created. It causes some to be arrogant. Some view themselves as the chosen people of this fake God. Some claim to have a righteousness that others don't have. And not because of any evil behavior on the part of the so-called unrighteous, but only because they don't serve this God made like corruptible man. This is what the foolishness and vanity that created this God brings about. Chaos and destruction and every evil work. This is nasty business, y'all. And if we would just think a tiny bit, we could see this truth. I mean, if we read about a human-like God who tells one human to murder another human or enslave another human or steal property from another human, we do have enough sense to know that this can't be something from a good God. And we certainly can't see it from looking at creation, can we? But as I said, humans ruined the creation. We weren't content to dress the garden and keep it. We wanted knowledge of good and evil. We wanted laws and regulations. What does the Bible say about law, Christians? Law brings death. But all we could think of was touch not, taste not, handle not, after the commandments and doctrines of men. Religion is evil. It was made by men. And it told us lies. Told us things we cannot know from the things that are made, didn't it? What are some of these things? Well, from the things made, we can't know that this God is human-like or that we're made in its image. We can't know its pronouns are he and him. We can't know that the woman came from the man's rib. We can't know that the man should rule over the woman. We can't know that the Creator wants us to sacrifice animals or even a human being in order to make it happy. We can't know that it wants us to sing its praises or pretend to eat its body and drink its blood. We can't know that it prefers us to be heterosexual rather than homosexual or bisexual. We can't know about any legalistic ritual that we must perform. We can't know about sin. We can't know any such thing because such things cannot be known about the true God. And finally, we cannot know the God depicted in the Bible. That God is man made. That God doesn't exist. That God is made like corruptible man. That God has no eternal power, has no power at all. And that God cannot be seen by looking at the things made. Therefore, that God is not the true creator. We see and understand all that can be known by looking at ourselves and everything else we see. Anything we read or hear about the creative force that we ourselves cannot see and know is hearsay. Anything else has no proof. Anything else is a lie. That is, if we believe the passage we're looking at. And if we can't believe it, then we can't believe anything else contained in the Bible. If we can't know and understand something by looking at the natural world and studying it, then there's nothing to know. There is nothing that can be known about the Creator except what we can see in the creation. The Bible itself declares this. Maybe you ought to believe it. Thank you all. Bye.